Hi, everybody. I'm Ronnie.
Hi, and I'm Jenny,
And
and
who
we
are
are
we?
the Heart and Soul Sisters.
Yes, I have my buddy Leo here with me today, so he wants to be part of the action. So today we are previewing some very exciting news that we are writing a book together.
My
And
gosh.
yes, yeah, it was actually your idea, Jenny. So why don't you
So,
take it away?
okay, so I'll take it away for a moment. Yeah, so when we started talking about doing this, I think we shared that it came to me, and then during the Omega workshop weekend that we went to, I said,
Hmm.
we've got to do this. We've got to do this together. And I don't know what it is, but it's
We're gonna
something.
do it.
We're going to do it. And and then you said we're going to call ourselves the Heart and Soul Sisters. And then within a short time after that, the timeline is kind of foggy for me, but I said, we need to write a book together. There's so much more to unpack
Yeah.
about our history together, and I've
Eh,
been toying with writing a book for a long, long time,
right.
years. And
Right.
my husband and even my children have been saying, "Yeah, Mama, you really need to write a book." And some of my close friends that have known some of the story um, have said the same thing. They say, it's really your relationship with your sister and what the two of you have done to help each other heal is a great story that could help others, and I know that, and
Right.
that's really the motivation for doing it.
Right.
And I think I've shared on other podcasts, I've been a very private person. I
Yes.
haven't talked about this with others, very, very little. I have I think of myself as hiding in plain sight. I am I am the kind of person who has compartmentalized myself in terms of how close I have let others in to who Jenny really is. And when I think of myself, I think of myself as Jenny,
Hmm.
which is why I'm going by Jenny on our podcast and all that, because that's the little girl that thought she could take on the world and do anything she wanted to, and had just a wildly active imagination and very creative, and would dance at the first sound of music, and wanted to sing all the time and wanted to create. And that's the inner being of who I really am,
Yeah.
and was very spiritual and was very in touch with nature and very in touch with doing what is right, and wanted to love the world and love everything and love everyone. And so that's who I identify as, Jenny.
Yeah.
And and I felt that this book was really important for us to do together. And when I knew that we needed to each tell a little bit about our perspectives. And so I have a very loose idea of how we were going to do this. And at first, you were less than excited about it.
I was because when you first mentioned it, I was like, well, what's that gonna look like? How are we gonna do it? Like I went right to
My
I gotta
brilliant
know what it's
academic sister.
I gotta know what it's gonna look like, right? I need an outline. I need so so I know I feel bad about that because I wasn't super enthusiastic, and I know I hurt your feelings, and it was not my intention.
Well,
It's just like
let's talk
so
about that
what
just for a
so
moment. Yeah, because
okay.
it tapped into all of my stuff about not being good enough, not being worthy, and not being lovable.
Oh, the
Like,
trifecta.
poo
I'm
poo face.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so
So, and
sorry.
I know you didn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't your intention. I knew that it was coming for you from a place of,
Control.
and I
I
knew
mean,
that
yes.
intellectually,
Yes.
but yeah, in my heart I was like, oh,
She doesn't love me.
she
She
doesn't
doesn't
love
want to
me.
write a book with
She
me.
doesn't think I'm smart enough,
No.
or whatever,
No.
And so, yeah, so we kind of put it aside
Yeah.
for a little bit.
This was like 3 or 4 months ago, probably. or 6 months
I'm thinking it
maybe.
was November, December. We
Okay.
first kind of talked about it.
Okay.
But we were in the middle of trying to pull all this together, all the
To start the
background stuff
podcast.
of
Yeah.
we got to
Right.
get these podcasts going and we got to get our
Right.
website together and we've got it.
Right.
So we were still trying to work all that out. And you were
Hmm.
like, wait a minute, can't think about writing a book.
Time.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No. No. So then we did start talking about, well, what would it look like to write a book together? And I think I came up with the idea of we should each write a chapter about each other. Like,
Definitely.
how do I see Jenny, and how do I see my relationship with Jenny, and how it's evolved or changed? And then you do the same, kind of for me. And I was sharing. My daughter has kind of been doing a lot of help with us behind the scenes to get things going, and so we're sharing these
Yeah.
ideas with hers, and she said, well, you two should also write a chapter about what it feels like to be you. Like going through this journey, what did it feel like on the inside for you? So I feel like that would really help people, that they would be able to say, oh, I felt that way too, right? Or I experienced that. So so we have two chapters that are called Ronnie and Jenny, written by each other, right? I'm writing the chapter on Jenny, you're writing the chapter on Ronnie. And then I just finished the chapter called Being Ronnie, and you're working on the chapter called Being Jenny. And then we're
Yep.
going to meet soon. And actually, by the time this podcast drops, we will have already met to do the joint chapters. So I see this coming together really, really fast, which has been kind of fun and exciting to see, especially because I was like, what are we going to do now? And it wasn't that I thought it was a bad idea. It's just that that kind of tapped into my control issues. Well, what's it going to look like? I need to know. What exactly is this?
Just a
How
little.
do we write together? Like I'm used to writing by myself. Like how do I
Me
write
too.
with somebody else? Um, so yeah, so that's why I reacted in that way.
But
But
I just felt that it was so important that we do this together because I can write a
yeah,
story on my own, but our healing and transformation has really been together.
yes, it's been a joint
That's when it's been a joint
journey.
effort.
Yeah,
And yeah, we had to do our own work on ourselves, but I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am if it weren't for you.
right,
And
right.
and I like to think the same.
Me,
I
yeah,
mean,
no, exactly. That's why I'm
I've
saying
pulled
right.
you
I
along too.
completely
Yeah.
agree. Absolutely, I completely agree. In fact, I've said that in both chapters I've written.
Yeah, I
So
think I
okay,
touched on
so
that too.
so no, 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 no. It's I don't have the same summertime. I don't have quite the same responsibilities that I do. Your job doesn't change, so I have a little more time to do this kind of thing right now. Um, but
Yeah, your first draft is finished. I'm still in process. And
that's
it's funny because there's a whole lot of emotional stuff to unpack as we're writing.
yeah.
And I
Oh,
want and
yes,
I want it to be as authentic as I possibly can make it. And whose memories are perfect? No
right,
one's.
right.
And so I'm struggling with, okay, was that a memory? Is that something I imagined? As I'm trying to weave in some of the memories and some of the examples, and yeah, so and it's also very emotional because a lot of these
Yes.
memories are not necessarily
No.
pleasant or fun ones.
You're
And
right.
so, and I'm laughing. I always laugh when I get, yeah. Um, so you take time out to cry, you go
A
back
lot.
to yeah, and then you go back to your writing. And it's a lot.
It
It's
it
a lot.
is.
It's a lot
I
to sort through.
you know I it was actually pretty easy to write the chapter about you, It was when I started writing about me that I did not know how to approach it. I'm like, because when I wrote about you, it's linear, right? I'm writing across time how our relationship developed and has changed. That makes sense to me to do it that way. But when I started talking about being Ronnie, um, I thought that doesn't feel right to me. So I had to figure out what I was going to do instead. And I'm trying not to say too much because we're not sharing our chapters with each other until we finish them, right? So we don't want to, because we don't want to taint what the other person says. But I
Right.
will tell you that when I finally figured out what I was going to do for the chapter about my experiences, I got 2 paragraphs in and I had to go bawl. And it was funny because I was sitting there writing and my husband had gone to do something, was running some errand. I thought, oh, he'll be gone for a while. And I mean, I was literally 2 paragraphs in. I just started writing and like, I have to go cry now. And I heard the garage door. It's like, damn it, he's coming in and I need to cry right now. And so I got up and I went to get a Kleenex, and he was coming in from the garage, and I was coming in the other way and walking toward me. He says, "What's the matter?" I said, "I'm writing, and it stirred some stuff up, and I just need to go cry. I'm going to the basement." And he said, "Okay, I'll see you in a little bit." It's like he just knows, you know. It's like sometimes it's the stuff is still there, right? It's we in some ways it's rather presumptuous that we even started doing this. You know, it's like, who the hell are we to tell anybody, you know, that we have something to offer in helping them in their own healing journey? I've kind of felt that from the beginning, and now I'm just saying it right out loud. Um,
Sure.
but also, you know, as you're kind of climbing the ladder, if you think about growth as kind of an upward trajectory, there are always people behind you that can learn from you, right? If you're in the 5th grade, you can teach somebody in the 4th grade something. It doesn't, you
Yep.
know, you don't have to be a fully developed and evolved and perfect individual to have something to share to the world. But
Right.
and why did I get off on that side tangent? So there's some of that anyway in me, right? There's some of that feeling already, like, who am I to be putting my story out there? But it's just writing about different pieces of it is really calling up some stuff, um, and some stuff that was surprising for me, like I didn't expect. There were some things that were there was super heaviness. Like at one point, I got up and had to go have a cry, and I felt like my heart was going to explode and I couldn't breathe. It's like, this is some serious shit that's hanging on to me, you know. Um, so it has. I've been surprised by that because some of these are stories I've told lots of times. You know, it's not anything new. Like in trying to explain to people what happened or whatever. Um, so it's not like I haven't looked at it before, but writing about it, it just seems to call up something different. Um, it's just it's very interesting. And then I just finished the chapter being Ronnie yesterday, and I sent it to my daughter to look at. And I said, if you want a fun game to play along at home, you could try to guess which are the points in time in writing this chapter where I had to get up and go have a good cry.
Oh my God.
So, because it happened 4 or 5 times probably. But once I got going, it was, you know, it it came out. I mean, that's the surprising thing for me is that it's ready to come out. The
Yeah.
story is ready to come out in a fuller way.
Yeah.
And there's probably not going to be a lot in this book that we haven't certainly already said to each other more than once, to our
Sure.
spouses, in some cases to our children. But I think bringing it all together in a new way, and that's what both my daughter and my husband have read the 2 chapters, and they're like, there wasn't, because I asked them, was there anything that surprised you? And there were a few things that they said, but mostly it was the intensity of things, not, is like, the comment was, it's not that there's new information here, but to see it all together in one telling is different, right? It
Yeah.
hit them differently, to see it that way. So it's,
Yeah, I think because we tend to minimalize our our own suffering,
yes,
and we tend to minimalize other people's suffering because we're uncomfortable with it.
yeah,
Nobody is comfortable watching somebody who's in pain. And nobody is really comfortable hearing someone else's pain. I mean, if you're truly a compassionate, if you have any ounce of empathy and compassion in your body, it hurts. It
Yeah.
hurts to hear how others were hurt, or
Yeah.
um, yeah, if you identify in any way. So yeah, so it's going to be, and it's not a. I mean, this book isn't about telling about every,
No.
every detail of everything that
No.
happened, but it's
Not by any
about the
stretch.
dynamics. It's
Yes.
about the relationships, because that's how we interact. That's how we learn. That's how we figure out who we are. In part is through our relationships,
Right.
and our relationship with ourselves
Yes.
is probably the most important relationship, and yet most of us, many of us, maybe not most, maybe many, um, we tend to run from spending time really looking at ourselves and really trying to understand who we are and sitting in our own presence. I know I've done that.
Yeah.
I'm the queen of volunteering so that I don't have, for years. Well, you saw me, Ronnie.
Yes, I did see
I
it.
mean, for years,
Chaos. Yeah.
I'm good at organizing and starting up new things and getting people excited about being involved in things that I'm passionate about. Um, and they're all things that I loved. But there was also an undercurrent of, there was another reason for me doing all of those things, and that was
Sure.
so that I didn't have to sit in silence with myself
Yep.
and my past.
Yep.
I didn't have to remember, because if I kept running, I mean, my friends back in Nashville called me the Energizer Bunny. They said, "I don't know how you do all this stuff."
Yeah.
It's because I don't have to be alone with my thoughts,
Right.
and that's an exhausting way to live your life.
No kidding. Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, there were parts of that nonstop running that I loved, and I loved helping others. But it truly was to the detriment of myself at
Yeah.
times.
It absolutely was. It absolutely was. Yeah. Yeah. I
And so
remember.
that's part of this book, is really about unpacking some of that, and unpacking, I guess, who we are and what where we came from in our relationship, and how that's affected how our lives have unfolded.
Right. Right. And I really do want to underscore it's not the telling of every gory detail. In fact, there's only one
No.
one sort of incident that that I relay, and I almost apologize for it. I preface it by saying, we've very deliberately not talked about some of the specific things that happened to us as kids because we want to focus on recovery. Right? We're not about wallowing in victimhood. We're about recovery, our relationship, how we have regained a sense of self that feels safe and loved in the world. But there's got to be some telling of what happened to us in order for others to recognize what's happened to them. Because there are some people who are unhappy or just know their life is not working for them and they have absolutely no reason why. They have no idea why. They can't point to a reason for why their life is a mess or they're unhappy or they can't make relationships work or whatever it is. They don't realize it's because of the formative relationships that they had in their family, right? Denial, we've talked about before how strong denial is, and people can be in their 30s, 40s, and 50s and not say out loud or recognize that one of their parents was an alcoholic or that what they experienced was abuse. And so we want to tell enough of what we experienced to explain the inner experience of being Ronnie and Jenny and how Ronnie and Jenny managed to forge a relationship that allowed them both to heal,
Yeah.
right? And to be the glorious people that we are, and to enjoy the amazing relationships we do now with each other, with our partners, our children, our friends. You know, it's just it's because when you're still not sure what the hell happened to you, right? You're trying to figure out what's wrong with me. Why am I struggling so much? Or if you're in the very beginning of that, like you recognize that there's some stuff you need to kind of deal with, it can be extremely overwhelming. Like you just don't have I remember that we often felt like, how the hell do we ever get out of this? How are we going to ever be normal? What is normal? How will we know normal if it hits us between the eyes, right?
Right.
So that's that's the goal. The goal is to tell enough that other people can see at least threads of our story in their own and have some hope that their lives can be different if they're not happy now. That's what really motivates me.
Yep.
Make it easier for
Absolutely.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited.
I am too.
We don't have any idea really how long this is going to take because I published an academic book once, but this is going to be different. So the process may be different. For me, it took a long time, you know, months and months and months once I finally had a complete draft to see a real book. But I don't know. We'll see. So it's consuming us right now. We're thinking about it. We're working on it. So we wanted to
Yeah.
throw it out there as maybe a teaser that is coming. That's what we're working on.
Now we're really committed.
Yes. Yeah, now we got to finish this
There's
since we threw this out
no
there.
backing out
Maybe that's
now. We
why
got
we
to get them
decided our
going.
higher selves thought we better get them to talk about this so that they
Hold their
don't back
feet to
out.
the
They don't
fire.
chicken
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to get it done now.
Yeah, yeah. That's all right. I don't mind because I am very excited. I'm very excited about doing it now.
I am too. I'm excited. I'm excited because, we've grown up with such isolation, you know, emotionally.
Yeah,
And and I mean, this is a step to help other people who are struggling in that isolation,
yeah,
to know that they're not alone,
yep,
and that, you know, it's perfectly okay to step forward and say, "Yep, this happened to me too, and and I deserve to have a happy life. I deserve to
yeah,
heal, to be whole, to be joyful." And that's really my motivator, is that, I am not the same person I was so many years ago.
yeah,
And I have come so far in so many ways, on so many levels. And that healing is available for everyone, whether
yeah,
you're somebody suffering with that pain right now and thinking that life isn't worth living. I've been there. I've been there. And it's because of that, living with that pain of the past and wanting to somehow escape it and not know how,
yeah,
um, that you can heal, and you can come out of that and really really appreciate your life, and really appreciate the people in your life, and 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 live a joyful life.
yeah.
There is joy on the other side. And
Absolutely.
I
And
think
there's joy along the way.
there's joy along the way too. There
Yep,
is.
yep,
And I think that's a big piece of this, is wanting other people to know that you're not alone.
right,
I think we all want to know that. We all want to know that we're not alone,
right.
that we're in this together, and that there are
Absolutely.
people that can relate to what we've experienced, and that want to be there to cheer us on and support us. So
Yeah.
that's what this is about.
Well, if anybody has questions, maybe that they're hoping the book will answer, you are welcome to head on over to our Facebook page, the Heart and Soul Sisters, or our website, www.heartandsoulsisters.net, all words spelled out. And if you're looking at the video version of this, you'll see that at the very end. We've got all that information. You can find us on Instagram. There's lots of ways to let us know you're listening and let us know if there's things you like us to talk about or maybe even address in the book. So please feel free to let us know. And in the meantime, we are wishing you much love, much light,
And so very many, many blessings.
because they are there for you.
Absolutely.
Take care, all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.